Sean with Voices of Racing. I'm here in Vintage Indy's garage with Mike Lashmett, and you have a cart here, and you said you raced majority of your life in carts up until you were 60. Is that right? Or 50?
Well, I
Sorry.
raced until I think I was 51, and my wife decided I should probably retire. Uh, I'm going to be 69 in June, but I raced from 67 all the way up through the early 2000s.
So let's talk about this one you got right here.
Well, after I quit driving, I still had carts. This is a 2014 Margay Brava with a Yamaha on it, and this cart ran every year at the Brickyard at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They had a cart race there every year up until a couple of years ago. And my nephew, Dustin Newman, drove this, and also Chris Blair's son, GM down at WWT Raceway, drove it once in Indianapolis for me. But this cart ran Quincy in the Park, Indianapolis, Rock Island Grand Prix, St. Louis events, and just all over the place. And I've donated the cart to the Museum of American Speed out in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it's going out there this week.
So give me some stories of you when you were young and racing, maybe even some close calls.
I started out racing at TNT Kartways in West Quincy, Missouri, which is a real famous kart track that's still in business. And it was owned and operated by Gus Trader. His son Terry was a multi-time IKF national champion. So I grew up racing with the cream of the crop. And I think I was 14 or 15 when I drove my first race. And growing up in West Central Illinois, I grew up near Quincy, and there was a 3-track circuit back then, and it was called the Illinois Circuit, Illinois, Missouri. And the tracks were in Quincy, Mid-State Kart Club in Springfield, Illinois, and then the old track down in St. Louis and Botchertown in St. Charles. And it was a points deal for the year. And that's how I started out, and then I ran the famous Quincy Park race more times than I can remember. I ran the inaugural Quincy Park race in 1970. And for those of you that don't know, the Quincy Grand Prix, as it's called today, is probably the biggest event in karting. Last year, Al Unser Jr. and I went there. Al was the Grand Marshal for the race, and we took the Mini Cooper pace car. He did some laps, and then we had the AJ Foyt 1964 Sheraton Thompson Special on display there. But I was fortunate enough to race there the very first year, and I ran that race just about every year they had it up through 2001. The race went into hiatus for 15 years, and then a few years ago it was revived after they repaved the road course through South Park in Quincy, Illinois. And it's still, once again, a huge karting event. Anybody that hasn't ever been to that event, I encourage them to go. Terry Trader, the son of Gus Trader, is the promoter. It's for karting, it's the Indy 500, the Daytona 24, Le Mans, Monaco Grand Prix all rolled into one. It's a really big deal.
So what's the situation when you're on the track and you might have almost or flipped one of these?
Well, I've been upside down a few times in karts, and you don't stay with the cart when you get upside down. You and the cart kind of go your separate ways, and you go skidding across the pavement. So the first year at the Quincy Grand Prix, that's really a challenging race track. It's very fast and it's kind of dangerous. I wouldn't recommend it for a novice. And the first year they ran it, I raced in it, and in practice I got upside down. And I think I took my elbows down to the bare bone. And my mother told me that I wasn't racing that day. But I told her, I was, and I did. And I raced and finished. I don't remember where I finished. I didn't win, but that was an interesting experience.
I'm glad you've lived
I
through
don't
it.
recommend anybody get upside down in a car.
No, not
There's
a good
no belts,
idea.
there's no bars.
So what could these get up to? What's top speed straight away?
Probably with this Yamaha long straightaway, maybe 75, 80, 85 miles an hour, but the sensation of speed this low to the ground, it feels like you're going 150 sometimes, although you're not. But these things are very quick, and the steering on them and everything is about a quarter turn lock to lock. The steering is very quick. Modern day karts like this handle phenomenally well, and they're a lot of fun.
That's great. Well, thank you for giving us the overview on this kart, and glad you've lived through the roads you've driven.
Thank you.